So this whole swatting thing is honestly, it's something right out of a nightmare. You know, someone makes a call, pretends there's this huge emergency, and boom, police are busting down your door thinking there's a legit threat.
Exactly. And while it might initially sound absurd, like a bizarre prank, it's been weaponized into something far more insidious. The origins of swatting actually trace back to online gaming communities in the early 2000s, where it started as a way of harassing others during live streams, but it's evolved into something that targets public figures, lawmakers, and even community advocates.
Right? Like the Thomas Sabo case. This guy, you know, he wasn't just pulling some random stunts. Federal prosecutors called him an invisible menace. He helped orchestrate swatting events that targeted dozens of lawmakers and influencers. Dozens.
Yes, his tactics were especially chilling because of how he navigated anonymity. Perpetrators like Szabo used techniques like spoofed phone numbers, anonymized communications, and sometimes even gaming platforms as a cover. It makes tracking them a logistical nightmare for law enforcement.
And you think about the chaos something like this creates. I mean, I remember being at this protest once. It wasn't even that volatile, you know, just people holding signs, chanting, and then some false info spreads like wildfire. It's someone shouts about a bomb threat. Panic just erupts. People start running everywhere. Cops dive into action. It was total chaos. And the whole vibe flipped in like seconds. It reminds me so much of what swatting does. It weaponizes fear.
That's an incredibly poignant parallel. The unpredictability, the manipulation of perception, it's all engineered to incite panic. The psychological toll on both the victims and responders, not to mention the potential for genuine harm, is immense. You're essentially placing lives in danger every time it happens.
And there's no like, oops, my bad here. Once those doors come crashing in, the damage is done. Physical, emotional, relational. It's not something you can just walk back. And honestly, it's terrifying that someone can disrupt your entire life with a phone call and a fake story.
Terrifying, yes, but also deeply revealing. These incidents highlight vulnerabilities in systems we often take for granted, whether it's emergency services, digital communication networks, or even interpersonal trust. It forces us to reckon with how these tools can be exploited by malicious actors.
And it makes me think, like, what does it even feel like to be on the other side of that? You're just someone trying to do your job, live your life, and then bam, this wave of chaos hits you out of nowhere.
Exactly. The fear, anxiety, and sometimes even the trauma it causes.
That fear and chaos you were just talking about. Imagine being the one who's suddenly surrounded by it. You're just at home, maybe relaxing, maybe working on something, and then out of nowhere, it's shouting, pounding, people crashing in. How do you even begin to process something that shocking?
It's the kind of event that leaves a mark psychologically, emotionally. I mean, picture this: a lawmaker who just wrapped up a long day of work comes home only to be dragged into a nightmare scenario. And this isn't hypothetical. We've seen specific cases where people are held at gunpoint, their homes turned upside down. Victims often report persistent feelings of paranoia afterward.
Paranoia, and I get that. I'd probably be double checking every knock on the door for months, but it's not just that, right? It's this overwhelming sense that you're never safe. Like your home, your own space becomes a place of fear.
Precisely. And that vulnerability can spiral into chronic conditions, anxiety disorders, PTSD. I recall analysing a case during my intelligence days. A journalist overseas was targeted not by physical threats, but through relentless psychological tactics. They stopped leaving their hotel room for fear of surveillance, and that isolation absolutely eroded their mental health over time.
And it's not only the immediate victims either. Think about their families, kids seeing armed officers storming in, watching their parents get treated like criminals. Just thinking about that makes my stomach turn.
It's a chain reaction. For families, there's confusion, fear, often anger, and for public figures, the stakes are even higher. Some victims, particularly lawmakers, have shared that they became hesitant to speak out on certain topics afterward, fearing they would be targeted again. It's a silencing strategy in its own right.
Oh, I hate that. You take something that's already a messed up situation, and then it ends up amplifying the very thing these people are fighting against: intimidation, control. It's not okay.
Not at all. And it underscores how these incidents aren't just about the swatting events themselves. They're about the long reaching consequences, lost trust, altered behavior, the normalization of living under threat. The ripple effects are significant, to say the least.
Makes you wonder, though, are these perpetrators even aware of the damage they're causing, or is it just this sick game to them? It's hard not to wonder what's going on in their heads when they do this. But let's talk about consequences for a second. Swatting isn't just some prank that ends in a slap on the wrist. We're talking actual jail time here.
Absolutely. In the case of individuals like Tomas Sabo, we've seen federal charges for conspiracy, fraud, and in some cases, even charges tied to manslaughter if someone is harmed or dies during the response. Sentences can range from several years to life imprisonment, depending on jurisdiction and the severity of the fallout.
And honestly, good. Because, imagine how much damage they cause to families, individuals, even the emergency responders who don't know they're walking into a fake threat. These people deserve to face actual consequences for weaponizing fear.
No argument there. However, punitive measures are only one part of the equation. Prevention is equally critical. Public figures, especially those at higher risk, can and should take steps to safeguard themselves. Digital hygiene, for instance, plays a significant role. We're talking things like securing personal information, using encrypted lines for communication, and ensuring social media profiles don't disclose sensitive details.
Yeah, and let's not forget the importance of support networks. I've seen this firsthand. Back when I was documenting underground capoeira fighters in Sao Paulo, they banded together, not just to train, but to protect each other. If someone felt threatened or had trouble, there was this instant network that swung into action. It's a mentality public figures, heck, anyone can learn from.
Now, that's a compelling point. Safety often emerges as a collective effort, not an individual one. Community-based strategies where allies coordinate to monitor threats or even offer physical protection can be incredibly effective. Law enforcement, too, has a role to play. Training officers to distinguish genuine emergencies from potential swatting attempts is crucial in avoiding escalation.
And honestly, building those relationships with local law enforcement helps too, like making sure they know your house, your routines, not in a creepy surveillance way, but in a way that makes them second guess fake calls about you, you know?
Precisely. When law enforcement agencies can identify patterns or establish a rapport with frequent targets, it adds an additional layer of verification. That, combined with emerging technologies like AI-driven threat detection, could mitigate risks further.
It's all just wild to me, though. Like we're having to fight back against something no one should be dealing with in the first place.
Wild, yes, but if there's one constant in human history, it's adaptation. We are relentlessly inventive when it comes to rising up against threats, even the most insidious ones. Swatting is no exception.
True. And maybe there's a silver lining. Like through all this chaos, people learn just how strong they are, how communities come together like those capoeira fighters. It sucks that it's even necessary, but I guess resilience is something we hold on to, right?
Exactly. Adversity often brings out the best in human solidarity and ingenuity. Perhaps in facing these modern challenges, we'll not only overcome, but also redefine and reinforce what it means to protect one another.
And that's something worth fighting for. On that note, let's leave our listeners with this. Stay alert, stay connected, and don't be afraid to stand up, whether it's for yourself or someone else. We've all got a part to play.
Beautifully said. And with that, we conclude today's episode. Thank you for joining us. And until next time, stay safe.